Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Look, if you've been feeling lately like your traditional marketing campaigns are basically just shouting into a void, you are exactly in the right place. Today, we're completely unpacking the core concepts from the social dialogue strategy to figure out why modern marketing survival literally depends on social interaction. We are going to break down the actual mechanics of modern consumer engagement, so let's get right into it. Okay. Let's dive into this because this is the foundational question presented directly in our source text. Why is it important to engage with your audience on social media? Now, for any brand manager, marketer, or business owner out there, the stakes behind this single question are incredibly high. The source material doesn't just treat this as a nice little best practice, it treats it as a matter of absolute survival. We are well past the era where social media was just a digital bulletin board. To really understand the answer here, we have to recognize that the rules of the game have completely changed. Section 1. The new marketing reality. We are officially shifting away from outdated broadcast marketing. So the crucial point is this. Consumers now expect brands to involve them in conversations. I want you to really focus on that word for a second. Expect. The text is explicitly clear about this. It's not a bonus anymore. It's not some clever surprise and delight tactic. It is a literal baseline consumer expectation. If your marketing strategy doesn't have a mechanism to actually involve the consumer in a back-and-forth conversation, you're failing to meet the bare minimum of what your audience demands. It's an absolutely massive shift in power dynamics from the brand to the consumer. And the source reinforces this with what is basically an indisputable industry law. It says, today, social media is intertwined with all aspects of marketing. You simply can't separate your marketing strategy from your social strategy anymore. They aren't two different departments living in totally different silos. They are deeply structurally intertwined. Every single piece of marketing you put out into the world has to be viewed through a social lens. If you're planning a campaign without figuring out how the social element weaves through the whole shebang, you're completely ignoring the reality of the modern market. And look at this reality check straight from the text. Platforms that lack a social element are losing their effectiveness. I mean, that is a stark warning. If you're still relying on older, traditional methods that just push a message out there without any way for the audience to respond, react, or actually engage, you are actively losing ground. The text is telling us flat out that effectiveness is directly tied to the presence of a social element. Ignoring this is just a surefire way to watch your relevance completely fade away. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact paradigm shift we're talking about. We have one-sided marketing contrasted directly with interactive dialogue. One-sided marketing is the old world. It's the billboard, the unengaging commercial, the static post. It's talking at people. But interactive dialogue, that is the new necessity. That's talking with them. It's a dynamic, two-way street. The entire thesis of the social dialogue strategy hinges entirely on moving your brand away from that one-sided approach and fully embracing an interactive dialogue. Section 2, the engagement chain reaction. Let's walk through the step-by-step logic of modern purchasing. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the strict chronological sequence it demands. You absolutely cannot skip steps here. The text explicitly outlines this exact progression. Step 1, it all starts with those conversations we just talked about. You have to involve the consumer. When you do that, it naturally leads to step 2, build relationships. You stop being this faceless corporation and you become a familiar entity. Over time, that consistent relationship allows you to achieve step 3, earn trust. And notice it says earn, right? Trust isn't just handed over, it's earned through that ongoing social dialogue. And only then, finally, do you reach step 4, influence purchasing decisions. The biggest mistake marketers make is trying to jump straight to step 4 without putting in the actual work on steps 1, 2, and 3. Let's zero in on that final step of the chain reaction, because, well, this is your bottom line. Trust influences purchasing decisions. This directly connects the somewhat abstract concept of social engagement right back to the concrete reality of your revenue. Why does this whole paradigm shift matter so much to your business? Because if you don't engage, you don't build relationships. If you don't build relationships, you have zero trust. And without trust, as the text clearly shows us, you literally cannot effectively influence what people buy. It is that simple, and it is absolutely that vital. Section 3, the interactive dialogue mandate. Here is exactly what businesses must do now. Let's move to and see how this builds into our final takeaways. These are 3 vital mandates straight from the source. First, remember that consumers expect conversation involvement. It is the new baseline. Second, social media is intertwined with marketing. They simply cannot be separated if you want your campaigns to actually work. And third, businesses must integrate social aspects into everything they do. If you grasp the absolute necessity of integrating these strategies, you're already way ahead of the curve. You're successfully transforming your marketing from an outdated broadcast into a modern, effective ecosystem. I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to really reflect on, and it ties right back to that concept of one-sided marketing we explored earlier. Look at your current campaigns, look at your platforms, and ask yourself honestly, is your brand having a dialogue, or are you just talking to a wall? Because as we've learned from the social dialogue strategy today, only one of those options actually leads to trust, and ultimately to your success. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep engaging, keep conversing, and I will see you next time.